sits back, dressed in black. Hey guys, Emmy here, also known as 8vinyllow, bringing you all another video, and I am so unbelievably excited about this video. I have been wanting to do this video and talk about this album and listen to this album for what feels like a million years now, and it's finally here, and I'm just so excited. So today, Friday, April 9th, 2021, Cheap Trick released their 20th studio album, Cheap Trick's In Another World, and I'll show you the album artwork here. Right off the bat, obviously, you can see that I have a paper printed off with the album artwork, and that's because, unfortunately, the vinyl of this release isn't getting released until May now. That got pushed back. So the vinyl with different variants, there's a picture disc coming out from Target and an indie exclusive variant like blue and white, which kind of comes off of this, and then the regular black. All of that vinyl has been pushed back to May. So I can't get my hands on that, which is a bummer, but I could care less because it's a new Cheap Trick album and it's out. And then I have a CD on order, but it's not in yet, and I could not wait any longer. I needed to sit down and get all of my thoughts out while they're still brand new and fresh, and everything's just so exciting. So, like I said, it's their 20th studio album. It's finally here. What I want to do with this video is just talk about my initial thoughts and reactions on this release. Maybe in like a week or two or whenever, maybe I'll come back and revisit and have another discussion about my thoughts and what has changed, what hasn't changed, what I really got into that I wasn't into before, after having time to digest it. But for today, I wanted just the raw, unfiltered reaction and my immediate thoughts on release day of this album. So like I said, 20th studio album. It has been completely finished, this album, since I believe like a year and a half ago it was done, and it was supposed to come out at the beginning of 2020, and we all know what happened at the beginning of 2020, so it got pushed back, but it's finally here, and I'm so excited. We have been waiting, as Cheap Trick fans, since 2017. They released two albums. They released We're All Alright and Christmas, their Christmas album. And then this album was supposed to come out in 2018, and there were just logistical problems and label issues that had to be handled, so it got pushed back a little bit, and then finally they're working on it, they're getting it done, and then it's ready, and then COVID hits and just slaps that down. But we're here, April 9th, 2021, In Another World is out. So I'm so excited. It was produced by Julian Raymond, who has done work with Cheap Trick in the past. I believe he did production work on Bang Zoom Crazy Hello, which is a phenomenal album. The latest, Rockford, those releases. So I'm so excited. Of course, the lineup, you have Rick Nielsen on guitar. He lends his vocals, of course, the most Rick Nielsen vocals. You know when Rick's going in there. Tom Peterson, of course, on the 12-string bass. Robin Zander, his vocals are absolutely ageless, and I'm sure I'm going to be saying that over and over again as I go through the different tracks here in this review. And then on drums, you have Dax Nielsen, who of course took over after Bunny Carlos left. He's been working with Cheap Trick for like 10 years now, has worked on albums, Bang Zoom Crazy Hello, We're All Alright, the Christmas album, and now In Another World. Just a phenomenal drummer and human being. I've met him a couple times and he's super nice. Same with the rest of Cheap Trick. And then I believe, and quote me, come comment below if I'm wrong, but I believe that Robin Taylor Zander, who's Robin Zander's son, may have lended some vocals on this album. I don't have the CD and credits with me, so I don't know, but I believe that's the case. And if not, he is a current touring member and he does an absolutely phenomenal job anyway. So there's his kind of promo from me. So this was released by the BMG label. It was mostly tracked from different interviews that I saw with Rick Nielsen and Tom Peterson, Robin Zander at Blackbird Studio in Nashville. Some of the work they even finished at home. Technology these days is nuts, but a lot of the recording was completed at the Blackbird Studio in Nashville, so I'm just so excited. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you and list off the genres that I heard throughout this album. I think it runs like 45 minutes. There's 13 tracks on here. And I'll go through kind of track by track here in a second, my thoughts on that. The genres include, I obviously you get your rock, you get your power pop goodness. There's so much pop goodness on here. But you also have like elements of psych. You have elements of blues. You have a blues song in here. You have like a punk song in here. You have a disco type song in here. And I have to say, the Beatles' influence on this album is so clear. It's clear as day. The Beatles had so much, I mean, they've always had influence on Cheap Trick, always, always, always. That's one of their biggest inspirations. But you can just hear it so much, that Beatle-esque sound in this album in probably every single track. So that is what I have to say about that. Now we're going to get into the track by track breakdown. Again, my initial thoughts and reactions to this album. I'm probably only listened to it maybe 2 or 3 times now. So here we go. Initial thoughts, Cheap Trick's 20-0 studio album, In Another World. All right, so the first track is The Summer Looks Good on You, and this was actually their first single that came out back in, I think it was released in May 2018. And it's been used in live shows. It came out as a single. That just tells you how long this album has kind of been in the works here. But I've heard this song played live a handful of times. I absolutely adore this song. It is such a bright, upbeat, catchy, feel-good song. Every time I listen to that song, I feel good. And I have to say, when it was originally released a few years ago, it was good and I enjoyed it. But over time, I have grown to just absolutely love this track. And to hear it on the album and hear the whole album just come together, I have more of an understanding of the overall vibe and feel of this record, and I just absolutely adore this song. So I'm so excited to hear it live again. They used to play it like non-stop back when it was released, 2018, 2019. They played it nearly every show, or at least every show that I went to. So just so good, feel good, bright, beat, catchy, upbeat. It's just so unbelievably good. So, and like I said, right, those genres that you're going to hear, there's psychedelic influence in this song. Definitely a pop psych kind of feel in that song. Just so a great song to kick the album off with. The second track is called Quit Waking Me Up, and it is pop goodness. It makes me smile every single time I've put it on, and I've only put it on like 2 or 3 times, but it gets me smiling, it gets me moving, it gets me bopping. It's such a feel-good song too. Wonderful, wonderful rhythm section coming from Tom and Dax on that song. Super catchy. Like I said, this is a song that if you put it on and you play it 2 or 3 times, you're going to be singing along to it. If it's not out loud, it's in your head. So you can't not sing along to this song. Now this song, and again, this is track 2, Quit Waking Me Up. This song has very much Beatles feel to it. And the song that I immediately thought of the first time I heard this was With a Little Help from My Friends. I hear that song within this song so much every single time. I think immediately to With a Little Help from My Friends. So definitely influence there. The next song, track number 3, is called Another World. It is the title track, and this has to be so far one of my favorite songs off of the album. It is a beautiful, beautifully done power ballad by this band, and they're not, they have a couple that are pretty good, but this power ballad is unbelievable. The lyrics are so unbelievably powerful. Of course, right, In Another World, it talks about the hard world we're living in now and all the things that are happening, and it mentions peace and love, and it's like that kind of feel-good type song, but very powerful lyrics that are very timely. And actually, there was an interview that I watched recently where Rick Nielsen said that this song was written before COVID. So kind of a weird coincidence there coming into 2021 and of course going through all of 2020. You would think that this song, they wrote this song during COVID. This song was written before COVID, so it's extremely interesting and even more powerful now coming out of the last year we had. Number 4 is, it was released as a single, and it was released as a later single, I think like a month ago now, and it's called Boys and Girls and Rock and Roll. What a name. I'm not too sold on that name, but of course everything with Cheap Trick kind of grows on me, so I guess it is growing on me a little bit. But that was their single that they put out after Light Up the Fire, which I'll get to in a second, and it has one of the most addicting guitar riffs in there. Every time I listen to it, I sing the riff like in my head as it's happening. Rick does such an unbelievable job there. And that's actually the song that they played on Stephen Colbert last night, which was an incredible performance. So I'll link the Colbert performance down below because it was so good. And I just cannot wait to hear that song live. I have a good feeling that's going to be the song that they end up doing live a lot from this album. Number 5 is the disco song of this album. It's a disco track of the album I have written down. It's super fun, and the first time that I listened to it, I was like, what the heck am I listening to? This is Cheap Trick. It was fun nonetheless, but I was like, what the heck is this? Coming right out of like the rocker of the album, we have like a disco song. But over time, over the last kind of few listens, it has completely grown on me. I'm with it. I'm doing the disco move when I'm listening to it. It's catchy. It's fun. And most importantly, it's Cheap Trick. This album, you guys, I'm not saying it's like a masterpiece, but it's Cheap Trick. It's undeniably Cheap Trick. You could play me this album, you could have played this for me a year ago and not told me anything about it, and I would have known right away it was Cheap Trick. It's just undeniably Cheap Trick. Everything that they do, how they sound, is so unique, and that's what you get from this album. No matter what, which genre they're trying to kind of play, including disco. Right after the disco song, you get the blues song, so it just keeps changing genres and keeps moving around. Number 6 is Final Days. This is their blues track, and it has that dirty, gritty feel to it as you go through. Jimmy Hall from Wet Willie ends up lending his harmonica on this, and great kind of duel between Rick Nielsen, his guitar, and Jimmy Hall's harmonica playing. They kind of go back and forth for a little bit at the end. So, it's blues, so you would think, oh, that'd be a highlight track for me. It's a fun track. It still has to grow on me a little bit, but it shows diversity within their music. Same with the disco song, and now we get into a bluesy type song. It shows their diversity. So, not sold on the chorus yet, but still a fun track. Number 7 is So It Goes, and this is Robin's song. That's just what I'm calling it. That's Robin's song. Just an unbelievable song, and his voice, first off, Robin's voice he's ageless. Like, best singer in rock and roll, hands down. Fight me in the comments below. I will fight to the death and duel to the death for that comment, because Robin Zander is the best singer in rock and roll music. Okay? Just a beautiful, slow song, unbelievable vocals, wonderful song, definitely a Beatle-esque style to it, but his voice just blew me away on this track, so I'm calling it Robin's song. It's not called So It Goes anymore. Number 8 is a major standout track for me. This was released as their first kind of hype single in January 2021 to get everybody hyped up for this album, and it's definitely still, after listening to this record, probably the standout track. It's just a rocker. It's a straight rocker, and it's so good. I scream at the top of my lungs along with Robin. Now, obviously, he does it way better than me, but I can't help but just belt it out with him during this song. The drums are phenomenal. Dax does a great job on this song. And Rick actually said that the guitar solo that's in there was influenced and inspired by the Yardbirds happening 10 years ago. So that's just a fun little connection. Rick Nielsen, the reason why I'm into kind of the music that I'm into is because maybe he talked about it and then I went to go explore. So he's my favorite musician and a person that has had a lot of influence on me and my music taste. So that British blues scene and stuff like that, that's all coming from Rick. Number 9, Passing Through, another absolutely gorgeous song. It's probably in my top 3. I hate to do rankings and stuff right now since this is my initial reaction, but just a wonderful song with great lyrics attached to it. Number 10 is a song called Here's Looking at You, and this is what I call the Cheap Trick song. This is the most Cheap Trick sounding song out of all of them, and all of them are undeniably Cheap Trick, but Here's Looking at You is the most Cheap Trick song that I've heard in a very, very long time. It is a song that instantly, when I heard it, brought me back to their early 80s material. Like, that is a song, Here's Looking at You, that could have easily been on One on One. Or even better, now that I'm thinking of it, Next Position Please. Like, that song could have fit right in, and you could put it in now and I probably wouldn't be able to tell that you changed it. Just absolutely great. Probably right now my favorite song off of the album. Number 11 is the Reprise version of Another World. So the first Another World that's on here, with the powerful lyrics talking about today's world and how we need peace and love, that is the power ballad. Now this one is the punk version. This is straight punk. This is their punk song off of the album. So it moves from that power ballad feel into the heavier punk rock sound. It kicks butt. Another favorite of mine from this album. You know how I love that punk sound. That's probably why I love their first album so much. It definitely has that punk influence in there, from 1977, which so many great punk releases were coming out then. But so good. Number 12 is I'll See You Again. Another beautiful release by Cheap Trick. Definitely extremely unique. I love kind of the harmonies that they have on that album, and it's just a great addition overall. And the last song, track number 13, is their cover of John Lennon's Gimme Some Truth. It was originally released in November 2018 as a Record Store Day release, and it was released on as a 7-inch, 45 RPM, and on the back was I Wish It Could Be Christmas Every Day by Roy Wood, a live version that they did with him prior to that. But I have always been a huge fan of their cover of Gimme Some Truth. When it first came out, I played it nonstop. You can go on my Instagram. If you remember when it first came out, I was going nuts over it. It's just so good. Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols plays on it. And it just a wonderful cover. And if you know Cheap Trick and know where they stand on issues and beliefs and stuff, which is the same as me, it just gives it more of that kind of like, yeah, feeling every time you listen to it. So, but yeah, so that is my track by track initial reactions to Cheap Trick's In Another World. You guys, like I said, I am just so happy about this release. I think it's wonderful. I'm probably biased, but I don't care. It's a great album. I can't wait to dig into this more, give it more time to digest and just really take in these new songs. And I really cannot wait to hear this band crank out some of these live. So that's all for this video, everybody. If you listen to this album, if you want to listen to this album, whatever, comment down below. I'd love to talk with you guys about this release. But that's all for this video, everybody. I hope that you are all doing well, staying safe. Go listen to this album. It kicks butt. And I'll see you for my next video. Bye, guys.